Join Gator great Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. It's a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. We got a good show lined up. We'll have JC. We'll get his comments. If you missed it, the 14 playoff is set. We'll talk about that. We'll talk a little NFL. We'll talk golf. My golfers destroyed JC's golfers this week over in the Bahamas. And FSU is sitting at home. It's unfortunate, but the committee had to do it. JC, you're on the Titan More Hotline. What's happening?
Yeah. Well,
congratulations to the Tide. What a ball game.
Yeah, it was a very exciting game. It felt like a playoff game. It did have that atmosphere. You and I were both there. I think, what we saw was a team that had won 29 or some odd straight games, and they clearly didn't play their best game. But Alabama, I think, it matches up with them in a lot of ways, physically, athletically, and all these other things. So it's a tough matchup for both teams. And I think they're very close. Alabama won this time. Georgia might win the next time they play. I think, when you look at in the last 2 years, there's only one team that's beaten Georgia, beat them twice in the last 2 years. So Georgia is going to the Orange Bowl. Okay. They're going to get to play Florida State. Clearly what I say about this selection committee, many folks won't take seriously because of how biased I am about it, and obviously how happy I am with the way it worked out. But if you try to look at it subjectively, if you try to look at it objectively, either way you look at it, somebody's going to be pissed and somebody's going to agree with you. And that's the thing. The committee didn't have a cakewalk situation, and they had to make a hard decision. And I've heard it. That's all I listened to, QB, on the drive home from Atlanta was talk shows talking about why FSU or why Texas or why Alabama. That's all I heard for 6 hours. It really made the drive easy. It made the drive very, very easy.
Rick says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law. I lost it. He says he wanted to be the first to say that Alabama does not need to be in the. Oh, he says, let me be the first to say Bama does not belong in the playoff with a loss. A lot of people say FSU got screwed. They got screwed, but if you look at the bylaws or the rules and regulations, the committee has every right, and it's stated in there that if a star player that can affect the way they play football, or I don't know how it's really stated, but that is part of it.
About injury.
Look,
about injury.
Florida State is not even close to being competitive. I went to bed at half because the damn game was so boring. And I was exhausted from the weekend, but yeah. I was so disappointed. But the quarterback has been the problem for Louisville all year, and he was horrible.
Doesn't get rid of the ball. He can't get rid of the ball. I think in a lot of ways he makes defenses look good. I could sit here, QB, and I could run down the reasons why for Alabama or the reasons why for Florida State and vice versa. But you can read that anywhere you want. I'm obviously happy with the way it's worked out because I think Alabama gives Michigan a much better game than Florida State would. It doesn't matter whether that's right or wrong. I just think if you're honest and you look yourself in the mirror and you say that Florida State team in the last 2 games, would they beat Michigan? Would they really give Michigan a good game? I don't know. Maybe they would. No. Maybe they absolutely would. But let's just be serious about this. Alabama beat the Georgia Bulldogs, and they have what it takes to win a championship. Florida State without Jordan Travis, I'm sorry, guys, it's not the same team. And I know that hurts. And I know that some folks think that's BS. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing I like to say is
every golf shot makes somebody happy and somebody sad. It's just
they went undefeated, and that's great. That's a great accomplishment. And their first one to go undefeated, Power 5 school not getting in. But what if every conference champion would have been undefeated? Who would have been left out? Florida State would have been left out.
They would have been left out. They would have been left out. And the fact.
And here's what's crazy is, Stacy says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law, had the ACC commissioner not blocked the 12-team playoff starting this year, this wouldn't have been an issue. And people forget the head guy of the committee is an ACC AD at NC State.
Yes, Boo Corrigan. And I know Florida State's not happy with the ACC either. I mean, they try like hell. What did we talk about in August with Florida State having the meeting with the Board of Trustees about trying to get out and find a way out of the ACC? The argument would have been that Florida State, would they get in front of Texas? That would be the next argument if Georgia had beaten Alabama. And it wouldn't have been about Alabama. It would have been about Texas. And then we would have had the same outrage when the committee took Texas. But Florida State's best win, if you look at ranked teams and wins, not just one game, and make it simple, it's just one game. They are focusing on one game in September as opposed to the body of work. Florida State's opponents and their best win is Alabama's third best win, if you look at rankings. Do we look at rankings? Of course we look at rankings. So their record that Florida State played was sub 500, okay? And I'm not saying Michigan's was any better and so forth. I mean, every one of those four teams had really white-knuckling type of games that they could have lost very easily to vastly inferior opponents. I'll go through a few. Texas had to struggle to beat Houston and TCU and Kansas State. Florida State had to struggle to beat Boston College, Pittsburgh, and Miami. These are not good teams. Washington had to struggle to beat Arizona State and Stanford in back-to-back weeks. Those are 3-9 teams. So every team that's in the Final Four had to struggle at some point. Alabama had to struggle to beat Arkansas and Auburn. Okay, I get it. But everybody had that same dynamic on their schedules, and Florida State's schedule was sub 500. Sub 500. So they look at the body of work, they look at the situation with the quarterback, and they made their decision. Danny Cannell and the rest of them can take their bias and go shove it. Because I'm
really getting screwed in the whole deal.
Every damn year we hear about Danny Cannell complain about the SEC. Every stinking year, and yet they've won 4 straight national titles. Shut up, Danny. Nobody cares about your.
You know who's really getting screwed in this whole deal?
Who?
The Georgia Bulldogs.
Oh well, they listen. QB,
the two best teams in America. The two best teams in America were playing Saturday in Atlanta. In my opinion,
it was a playing game. It was a playing game. It had a playoff atmosphere. There was nothing the Big Ten could have presented that competed with that. There was nothing the ACC could have presented that would have competed with that. There was nothing the Big 12 or Pac-12 could have presented that competed with that, except maybe the Oregon-Washington game. Other than that, that was a playoff play-in game. And you're right, Georgia. You're telling me that team with that lineup, you look at those players on the field, Rick Neuheisel and Tom Luganbill were on the field before the game. And afterwards, when they were doing their show yesterday, they simply said, I can't believe all of the NFL players that are walking around.
Oh, JC, I was down there for pregame warm-up.
Nothing compares to it, QB.
And I was just like, good gracious alive. Those two teams, the way they look in their uniforms, they look different, man. They look different.
They talked about that. They talked about that on the radio for damn near 30 minutes nonstop about them just looking at these guys, the players, the athletes. Nobody can compare with that. Florida State, and I know they're going to hate it when this is fine. What do I care? I'm the one who defended Florida State with you all damn year. But Florida State should say, guys, thank you for saving us the expense and the embarrassment that would happen probably in Los Angeles. And now we're going to go play in Florida against Georgia. You tell me that if that pisses you off, then stay home. Don't play. But that can't happen. They're going to play. They're going to collect the money, and they're going to play. And Georgia's going to beat them by 17 points.
Well, Georgia, it's going to be one of those games because I guarantee you Florida State, their D-line, I know Jared Verse is a senior. A lot of people ain't going to play in that game. So,
really?
Yeah, I think a lot of people sit out.
Wow.
Andy says on YouTube or Facebook Live, after watching Georgia and Bama game, we were a long ways off playing in that game. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, it's it's a whole different
athlete. Yeah. Andy wants to know how long, where is it? Let's see. How long before the Gators have a team? Oh, I don't know, Andy, because we don't look nothing like them.
Well, it's been a work in progress. I mean, that's what Kirby and Saban do, right? I mean, they don't get who they get they pick who they want when they recruit and they go to the portal. They don't have to hope some guy picks them over 4 others. I mean, I think they basically just pick who they want, and that's usually what happens.
Yeah, we got a bunch. Let's get some text here on the Titan our text line. This is says committee did FSU a favor and spared them the embarrassment of getting blown out.
I just said it.
Wait, they didn't wait. They didn't. UGA will take their frustration out on the semis. Like I said, I don't know how many of the people will play for Georgia or Florida State, quite honestly. Good morning, guys. Strength of schedule kept FSU out. Even with Jordan Travis, they struggle with ACC teams. They are not one of the best 4 teams in the nation. They don't deserve to be in the playoffs. That's from Daryl. I agree with that.
I think if you use the word deserve, then yeah, I mean, what else can they do? They did everything they could.
Well, they won all their games, but like I said, if the SEC champion won all their games, Michigan won all their games, Washington won all their games, if all 5 Power 5 schools, Power 5 conferences were undefeated, FSU, even with Jordan Travis, I still would think they would be left out.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough when you have 4 spots
because they're scheduled.
Conferences. I mean, we talk about this. The numbers never added up, QB. You got 4 spots and 5 Power 5 conferences. And only this year has that become an issue because usually the Pac-12 winner has 4 losses. How many times do you see the Pac-12 winner, or how many times have you seen the Pac-12 championship game have a team combined with 1 loss? 2 teams combined with 1 loss. That hasn't happened in this era. So look, the SEC has dominated the Pac-12, and I'll say this too, and nobody wants to hear this either, especially folks that don't like the SEC for whatever reason. But there has been equity built up in this playoff format over the last 10 years with Southeastern Conference teams. They've won 5 out of the last 6, dude. Alabama, Georgia, and LSU. Okay, that has to matter in the minds of people. We're just talking about people, not computers. And that's what they decided they wanted, people to make the decision and not the computers. So
yeah,
deal with it, Danny. Poor Danny. He's lost. He hates football now. And he also says, now I look at people in the ESPN building differently about their opinions of college football because they didn't show my team the love it deserves.
Well, it doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter what the ESPN folks do. It's the damn committee.
I know, but there's Kirk Herbstreit's running around saying Florida State's not a 4 best team with the last 2 games he played. Are you kidding me? It scored 1 touchdown on Louisville. 1. The mighty Gators had them on the ropes in the second half. Come on. I mean, what are we talking about? It's not the same team.
On the Titan Mar text line, Justin from Virginia.
I'm biased.
Justin from Virginia here says many fans complain about short passing game with Mertz, but Texas just demolished Oklahoma State with a ton of screens and quick passes and a double reverse trick play to start it all off.
Would they be raising hell? Would the country be raising hell? Is like if what you said, Georgia won, Michigan, Washington, and they had taken Texas instead of Florida State. Would the country still be going nuts about it? Well, Texas's best win was against Alabama. They deserve it. That's all you had to hear. And, FSU fans would have just said, okay. But I think because it's Alabama and the amount of just pure dislike for Alabama because of the success of the school, I think that's what created half the uproar. I do. Because what would you have done? Would you have taken Texas or Florida State in that 4th spot if Georgia wins? You would have taken Texas.
If Georgia had won,
Georgia would
Texas. Be in Washington and
Michigan, and you would have taken Texas.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Florida State was not getting in. Now, look, if they had played Florida and dominated Louisville with the backup quarterback or third-string guy, then that's a different story. The body of work and what you saw and their strength of schedule, they were going to get embarrassed if they played one of those teams in the championship game. And for the committee couldn't roll the dice on that. Right. Tony wants to know, how does Louisville not have someone else they can put in the game other than Plummer? I have no idea because I think Jeff Brom is outstanding. Yeah. But Plummer was horrible.
Awful. Horrible. Couldn't get rid of football. I watched 10 minutes of it and I had to shut it off. I had to go somewhere else. It was brutal to watch. Awful. I mean, they were selling tickets at that game for $22, QB.
I know. You can go, you can just roll up to Bank America Stadium, whatever it's called now in Charlotte, and roll up there and pay $20 to get in the game. I could have sold my tickets for probably about 2,500 a piece.
Yes,
A piece.
In that section where we were, yeah, that's high.
So I gotta let everybody know. So I have unbelievable seats, and I'm walking up to go up to the food section, and there's some guy sitting right there that's on this podcast. I'm like, I've been damned. JC's got some good seats.
Many
but
thanks.
You didn't buy those.
Well, I was invited and hosted by the beautiful Joseph V. Cox. Actually, what did he say his middle name was? Anyway, Joseph Cox IV. Joseph Cox IV, a proprietor of multiple McDonald's and Dr. Pepper client, and he chose to take me. God bless him. I don't know how I'm going to pay him back, but
I don't either.
He's a great friend, and we do things for each other. And he certainly came through for old JC. Otherwise, look, I would have gone and
you would have sat with the general public and spent $700 or $800 a ticket.
I would have paid I would have done the expected, but that Dr. Pepper. So now I've got diet cherry, sugar-free 0, and strawberry cream 0, sugar-free Dr. Pepper, all up on my counter because I drank about 700 of those things this weekend, and I know I never.
What else did you drink up in that hospitality suite?
I had some Aquafina. I got, and look, they'll feed if you get hungry. That's all around the place. You can't miss it. You bump into
Tony says he probably regrets inviting JC.
He what?
He regrets inviting. He regrets inviting you on the trip.
Yeah. Well, no, he didn't. He had a great time. We really did. The SEC championship is so.
There's nothing like it.
No,
there's nothing like it.
But think about this: what if in an off year, let's say Ole Miss is playing South Carolina at that game?
It's still an unbelievable environment. Dude,
it is, but I don't think, and I don't know. I mean, I think there's something different when it's an Alabama Georgia weekend. Oh.
Well, that's true, but I went the year Auburn and South Carolina.
Yeah,
I went.
I saw Arkansas.
I think I've been also when Alabama or Georgia weren't there either. So what I'm saying though is, and I firmly will argue with anybody about this, it's the greatest sporting venue, team sporting venue that you'll ever go to. It's better than national championships. It's better than Final Fours.
Better than Super Bowl.
Way better than Super Bowls. There's nothing like the atmosphere in that dome.
Crazy.
And let me tell you something. That's the first time I've been in the Mercedes-Benz Dome.
Oh,
that's clearly the best stadium I've ever been.
Is it great? Isn't it great? Arthur Blank told Jerry Jones, "I'll raise on this hand. I'll raise." And Arthur Blank's just as rich as Jerry. I will say this. Well, maybe not. But I will say this: that building is beautiful. The location is beautiful. I think Atlanta's got a lot of problems, but everything's so centrally located that you don't get to have to deal with a lot of that. And everybody was so friendly in all the hotels because they know this is a big deal to them. Atlanta is going to have this game through 2031 and probably much longer.
It's not going anywhere because we had a private luncheon with the commissioner, and he said it will not leave Atlanta ever.
There you go.
Radware is a family-owned business that prides itself in excellent customer service while providing quality and affordable promotional products and customized apparel. Speaking with JC on the Titan MRI hotline, we got a lot of stuff we can discuss today. Tony says Jerry World's like watching a game in a spaceship. Atlanta has to be better. I haven't been in Mercedes. It's outstanding. I was blown away. How nice it was.
It is great. It is great. I mean, Georgia Dome was cool. Well, it's the Alabama Dome, but they knocked that down, and now they built this place. It's fabulous. I mean, everything you want. And for Falcon games, you can get a soda, and they give you free refills at multiple soft drink stations throughout the entire stadium. All you have to do is bring a cup. General population. Arthur Bryant, he's a great owner. It's a great owner of the Falcons.
Today opens up officially the portal in college football.
Yeah.
Chris McClellan, the defensive lineman for the Gators, has entered his name in the portal. Somebody said on here the quarterback for Ohio State, JC, entered his name into the portal.
Who?
The starting quarterback for Ohio State.
Kyle McCord?
Yeah.
You're
He
kidding.
probably thinks he can go get money somewhere else.
Oh,
Or Ohio State. There's word that they're going after the backup at Texas. I can't.
Oh.
What's that guy's name?
Yeah,
Marcus Murphy or something?
Malik Willis or Malik something, I think.
Murphy.
Well, something like that. So Kyle McCord is one bad game against Michigan and you bail. That's all I need to see. I didn't like him anyway. I didn't think he was that good.
Well,
anyway.
it's not that like I said, he may think he can get more money somewhere else, JC. That's what these kids do now. I mean, we had these conversations with the commissioner for like 2 hours, and just talking to people there, they're just like, we hope we can keep college coaches. I think college coaches are going to start making more money because these universities are going to want to keep them. It's crazy to even think that they can start making more money. But I think you're going to start seeing coaches leave because when some of your better players go into the portal just to see if they can get paid more money somewhere else, I mean, that's just not, that ain't fun. That ain't what you signed up to do,
You're also taking a risk, though, because not everybody in the portal goes anywhere.
No. So there was a number, one of those assistant to the assistant to the assistant to the commissioner was at the luncheon too. And he said that there are going to be thousands and thousands of kids that just gave up free education, free school, everything, because nobody's going to pick them up.
Yeah. What, we have 1,500 or 2,000 kids in the portal? Where are they all?
No, it's over 3,000, I think.
Okay,
now.
3,000 now. Gee whiz. Look, it's where you think you can get the best opportunity, I suppose. But I would tell you this: if Kyle McCord was beloved in Columbus, Ohio, he wouldn't want to leave, and they would pay him. So obviously, it's a Kyle McCord problem as far as I'm concerned. Now, maybe it's not a problem. He'll go to some place and get a better opportunity. Maybe he'll go to Oklahoma State and find some oil money. I mean, who knows, right? Who knows? But the whole weekend was just it's just unbelievable. I feel Florida was there in 2020. Of course, it was the COVID year, and it was unfortunate that it didn't have the juice that these subsequent SEC championships had. But Florida was just there in 2020. It wasn't that long ago, folks.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, and they played Alabama hard. It was a tough game. 18-point deficit, and they only lost by 6. So I think that's right. So you think, well, gosh, we're light years behind because we look at these players on the field. A couple of big numbers and big name kids come here can change things dramatically. It does happen at other places, and it can happen here. I wouldn't lose hope if I'm a Florida Gator fan. Even with that schedule next year and whatnot, it presents opportunity, and it can present quite an opportunity if you get the right kids in place here. And that's what Billy's job is going to be. And his job is going to be on the line next year. And it's going to start today. Today is next year for Billy. It's today, dude. It's today.
Baron on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says Chris McClellan hurts. He's been a player since stepping foot on campus.
Yeah.
Also, he's literally the first player committed to Napier. Yeah, and like I said, we don't know if some coach from another school that he has a relationship spoke to his family and said, "Hey, I don't know what he's making there, but we'll give him this over there."
Yeah, see, and this is the biggest problem I have with all of this NIL stuff. It's not necessarily the amount of money; it's the tampering that goes on that shouldn't be allowed. You can't do it in the NFL.
But you can't.
You have to ask for permission. You have to ask for permission to talk to these guys in the NFL. We've got to get some legalities and some guidelines in place. Otherwise, this is going to run amok, and it's going to be centralized to just a couple schools. And we've already said this 100 times, QB. But yeah, tampering is a problem. It is a big issue with this NIL. Huge. To me, that's the biggest issue.
Nor says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melon Law, he says Buholtz lineman in Gainesville's pulling back his commitment to the Gators. Yeah, I heard about that. I also heard that the Gators kind of pulled back from him as well. I don't know which one's true. Probably both.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we may like you, JC. You may be committed to us, but we find another left guard that's better than the interlocking left guard.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, nothing's official till the name is signed on that piece of paper. That's why I wasn't saying, this recording class, as great as it could be, is not finalized. We don't know. We don't know who's coming here. Not yet.
Yeah, Sean Spencer, the D-line coach, is now being hired by Mike Elko at A&M.
A&M.
That.
Yeah, it happens.
Yep, for sure.
It's a
All right,
relationship business, QB, relationship business.
That's it. And JC, in golf over in the Bahamas, my golfers beat your golfers.
Oh, but what? 4 strokes? Come on.
That's okay. Sepp Straka came in second.
Well, that's great. So did his alma mater came in second too.
That's right. They're second in the SEC.
Hey, they were first loser in the SEC, and he was first loser in the tournament.
But can you imagine what they won? 29 straight games.
29 straight. Last time
you lose Atlanta, Georgia. You lose a heartbreaker, and then you don't even get in the playoffs. Because I firmly believe they're one of the best teams in America. So, as much as I hate Georgia, they did stuff that their teams haven't done in 3 or 4 years. You know, they had a field goal that they missed because the right tackle flinched. So
streaks of any kind, wins or championships or whatever. And Georgia did some really funky things. That had a lot of it had to do with the other guys on the other side of the field, but there were some self-inflicted wounds. Carson Beck did not play his great game. QB, let me ask you this: after the first drive, when they went down the field in 6 plays and scored, and it was 7-0, were you thinking 42-10? Is that what you were thinking?
Well, I was like, man, that was not a good start for the Bama defense.
No,
but they settled in. They settled in nicely, and Milroe made some plays.
He did.
He is so tough. I don't think people realize his toughness.
Gets hit.
That's what makes him a damn good player. His toughness.
He is tough as hell, and he can break a thing open on any play. He comes from the same place that Jalen Hurts comes from, and Katy, Texas, is probably not going to be an Alabama recruiting ground much longer with the way it's all working out for A&M and Texas over there in recruiting. But Katy, Texas has given Alabama some great players. And all of this thing about Georgia not being – look, Florida State, Georgia, next year – and I know this is no consolation at all for any of these people, but next year we don't have these issues about who's in, okay? Because once you get to 11 and 12, it doesn't matter at that point.
JC, I want you to answer this. This is on YouTube. It's from Clint, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. If Bama was undefeated and Jalen Milroe broke his leg in the winning effort against Georgia, does Bama still get in? There's an argument they wouldn't be as good.
If Alabama and they beat
Georgia,
Milroe
would have broke his leg in the 4th quarter and they beat Georgia, would they still get in? They would, because they're the SEC champs. It's a difference. The league goes a long ways.
I don't know. I mean, the committee simply said they take injuries into consideration. It does.
Well, they would definitely they would still take Alabama over FSU with their quarterback with a broken leg.
Well, how about this question? If Michael Penix didn't play for Washington, if J.J. McCarthy didn't play for Michigan, if Quinn Ewers was out for the season with Texas, are these the same teams? The answer is no, and we all know that. We all know that. You have to have the most important player on the field be healthy to play in these games to compete for championship.
Yeah, because Dan says here it wasn't all
this
about
is not
the QB
Nick
at
Foles.
FSU.
It's not Nick Foles.
It's the ACC that's keeping them out as well.
I just went. They're sub 500 opponents this year. Their record is combined below 500. They struggled with 3 teams that had no business being on the same field with them. Miami. And you know what's the saddest thing for all about this Florida State? This kid got hurt, and I feel awful for Jordan Travis, but he got hurt in a game that they really didn't even need him to play in with North Alabama. So I mean, Pittsburgh, Miami, Boston College, everybody struggles at some point in the year. I don't want to hear about Alabama needed a miracle. They made a play. Okay, it's called making a play. A miracle would be. Well, I don't know. Was the kick 6 a miracle, or did Auburn make a play? You call it a miracle all you want.
That's a miracle.
It's a miracle. But the thing is a 30-yard pass a miracle? Really? Is it a miracle? Is it?
Where did this go? Oh, Edward on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. If Ben Sass read Scott Strickland, Billy Napier, the Riot Act, got to wonder what assistant coaches are going to come and try to save a sinking ship.
Wait, you think Ben Sass read the Riot Act to Billy Napier and Scott Strickland?
He says if.
Oh, if. Oh, well, if. Ben Sass is trying to – I don't know what he's trying to do, but He's from Nebraska. He's a president of this school somehow. Um, look, I want to see if Billy's. Well, we already know what I want. I beat this horse till it's turned into glue. All right, with the players, the former players, the leadership. I've already gone through it. I don't need to do this anymore.
Yeah, Chris from Micah says if Bama wins the championship this year, it'd be Nick Saban's best coaching job ever. He might just ride off into the sunset if they win it all and retire. Yeah, it's clearly been his best coaching job. I would agree with that 100%.
I think if you saw his face after that Georgia game, I think the last thing he's thinking about, win or lose, is ever leaving this sport. He will be Joe Paterno, Bobby Bowden. He will die on the sideline at Alabama, or physically he won't be able to do it. But that guy loves this too much. He loves it, and he's got a great situation. He's the king of the school. He's the king of the state. He's the king of college football. What would he walk away from? He would rather, when he had to sit out because of COVID and miss a game, he said, that's when I felt like I was dying. It's not when I'm on the sideline, because that's when he feels like he's alive. It has nothing to do with money or any of that. And Nick Saban's not going anywhere, guys. And unless the lower takes, the good lower takes.
So we got people giving us all kinds of scoop here that I'm not even aware of. But David says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Yes, Sass met with Billy Napier and Strickland and had big donors in the meeting. Expectations were placed.
Okay.
So here's 941 says, I always talk about NIL, and many of us talk about kids that want to win. Below is proof that kids want to win or are tired of losing. From Nick Della Torre says, ETN met with Napier on Tuesday for a lengthy meeting. We're told that the meeting went well, but I think it's 50-50 of him stay or hit the portal. I was told tonight that NIL money isn't a driving factor. He wants to win. Well, yeah, everybody wants to win, but there are players that go into the portal to see how much money they can get elsewhere. You know, there's only a handful of guys that can go in the portal that Alabama, Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State won't. Does that make sense?
Yes. They choose who plays for them. That's what I mean. And what I mean by that is that
the only player on our team that could play for any of those teams I just mentioned would be ETN, because he's got some explosiveness and he's a really good running back.
I think Wilson could make a case as well. I love Gene Wilson. I do.
I like Eugene Wilson, but he's for sure. He's different than most of those kind of receivers. I tell you, man,
fast.
The size of these dudes,
it's crazy.
Being down the field with them was nuts.
I mean,
absolutely
Miller,
nuts.
The running back for Alabama, Miller, number 20. Yeah, he looks like it's some J.K. Dobbins out there. I mean, these guys are just different. They're different.
And the two we just talked about, ETN and Trey Wilson, they're unique players that have abilities that nobody else has. And so, yes, the big boys are going to pay or offer them, if they go to the portal, offer them a lot of money, and they have an opportunity to play for winning teams at this moment. So anyway, well, David says, what if the university doing what is the university doing to address the acceptance of these transfers to expedite it? I have no idea. I don't know anything about that.
That's I don't know. But look, Duke had some players this year. They played at Duke. Florida's got to get a couple of difference makers, and then if they can do that, there's a chance. That's all. I mean, it's the simplest way to put it. I don't know how else you put it. I mean, you hope for the best, but that's Billy's job to figure out. He's being paid the money to do this. The season starts today for the Florida Gators of 2024. So
we got a text on the Titan Mar text line from George. It says, Shane, are the Chiefs done?
No, it's the NFL, man. NFL. That's the NFL. Look, I still got my money on Kansas City with a healthy roster in the playoffs against anybody in the AFC, including Miami. And especially if they play an Arrowhead. Now, they do have 4 losses. That really helps Miami. That helps Jacksonville. But it's the NFL, man. That's another different animal. The playoffs get started 7 teams from each conference. So, you know, what's shocking is the Los Angeles Rams are 6-6, and they're in the 7th spot in the NFC.
You already gave up on them. You can't take them back.
Well, yeah.
Joseph says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, college QBs make more money than Brock Purdy.
That is actually factually a true statement. Yeah. He is absolutely right about that. Now, San Francisco clearly will reward Brock Purdy, and they will not let him go. Kyle Shanahan loves that guy. John Lynch loves that guy, but he's on a rookie
I love
contract.
him too.
Yeah, he's on a rookie contract, but he is so good. And that team yesterday that we saw in Philadelphia, if that's not the best team in football,
Cool.
who is? Who is? I mean, that they are so good. When they're healthy, nobody's beating them. It's just forget it. Not in the NFC anyway. I don't think so.
Michael says the next step into this free agency is make portal kids sign a 2-year contract to play, or else these kids will be hopping from school to school for money and playing time. That's what they're doing right now. You got to lock them down somehow.
We talk about guidelines and a framework to make this tenable to the look. If you're going to expand the playoffs to make it tenable to the rest of the country for the postseason, then make roster composition somewhat tenable for the rest of the country when it comes to free agency. We have nothing other than free agency in college football, QB. It's flat out free agency. That's it.
It's terrible. This day in sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. JC, in 1982, 48th Heisman Trophy Award on this day went to Herschel Walker.
To me, the greatest player I've ever seen play college football. The greatest ever. Bo is close, but Bo,
and it's not even close now. The Heisman Trophy for this year will go to Jaden Daniels.
Yes, and it is, and Bo Nix will be second. And I was going to have Carson Beck up in there, but I think Michael Penix or Bo Nix, either one, will be second.
It doesn't even matter. I mean, it's a landslide.
I know, but they're going to invite these kids. They got to invite. It's a great trip for them anyway. But Daniels, he didn't have to play now. He didn't have to play on Saturday.
He just would have added to his stats. I mean, he did something nobody in the history of football has ever done this year.
Yeah, he sure did. Thank you so much, Austin Armstrong and guys. Thank you so much for that effort. I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't seem right that there's no postseason game that we're going to watch the Gators play. It's
for the Mighty Gators? Nope, we're not.
Right.
All right, JC, the Mighty Jags are on Monday Night Football tonight for the first time in 12 years. Are you going?
I'm kind of tired right now. I can go, but I think I'm going to let my youngest and his girlfriend go to the game in Jacksonville tonight to watch the Bengals. If Burrow was playing QB, I'd want to go watch that. But Cincinnati is so handicapped. It's just like everybody else we talk about in football. When your trigger guy is out, you are a different team. And if Cincinnati, listen, Jamar Chase is marginalized now. Boyd is marginalized. Yeah, these guys are marginalized when Joe Burrow's not throwing them the ball. And Jacksonville will stuff Cincinnati. It'll probably not even be a very fun game to watch. And it certainly won't resemble anything we saw in college football this weekend. And it'll be a great win for the Jags because they're trying to get home field and win their division for us season ticket holders in Jacksonville. God bless. I hope they can do it, and they'll probably win tonight. So that's going to be fun for the Jacksonville fans, though. They love it. They are into the Jags. People are into the Jags. There's a lot of Gator boosters sending money to the Jags in Jacksonville. I know this. QB. So I mean, hey, it's just
they want to keep those boys from going into the portal.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, some of them have contractual obligations that won't allow them to go in the portal, and that's what we're talking about. Now, of course, they're also employees, and that's the ultimate question, I think.
All right, this comment
these
here,
kids be employees
here on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum. It says,
I got nothing to do, QB.
Besides the offensive line, what position do you think Napier needs to get out of the portal on offense? Best available.
Yeah.
If there's a player there that you like, I don't care if he's a damn wide receiver. I don't care if he's a quarterback. You get him.
Tight end.
You get best available if they want to come play for you. You got to remember, people, we ain't the only person going to the portal. We need linemen more than anything. We need linemen and every defensive player you can find. That would. I'm not concerned about the offense.
Defensively, it's a real work in progress, and it did not progress. We were complaining about the defense at this time last year, QB.
We've been doing that for like 5 years now.
That's true. That is true. I think they got to They can't get worse. They have to get better. I mean, I think they have to get better. They have to.
All right. Edward asked on YouTube, is there any possibility to bring in Bob Stoops to coach on defense with Austin Armstrong? Zero.
No.
Zero chance. I have a better chance of being the Cowboys' next coach.
I have a better chance of being the president than Bob Stoops working with some guy from wherever he came from to coach defense in Florida.
All right, we're gonna take a quick timeout. We got some more text. JC, I'm gonna hold you for another segment. We're gonna take a quick timeout, run some commercials, pay some bills. We'll be right back. You're watching and listening to PodUp Matthews in the morning.
Holding on the.
We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Campus USA, put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, watch. Duffield Home Improvements for your window, siding, and roofing needs. Radware, your local provider of promotional products, uniforms, and apparel. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Radware, F45, Quality Plumbing. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Q Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Hi there, this is Coach Steve Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet, complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, and of course our chicken and waffles. Plus, you can enjoy bottomless mimosas and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Silverback Concrete's a family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that build commercial structures with unrivaled quality. Silverback Concrete, you stand on it, we stand by. I'm going to go back to JC. He's here courtesy of Duffield Home Improvements.
Oh, love him. You know, QB, we talked about the contenders, the contenders struggling against other teams. Michigan struggling with Maryland. Washington struggling with Arizona State and Stanford. Texas struggling with Houston and TCU and K-State. Florida State struggling with Boston College and Miami and Pittsburgh. It's just part of the season. And when you win a championship, you go through a moment where it looks like you're out. And I think that Auburn game for Alabama was that moment. So I don't know when it was for the other two. Maybe, Washington.
If Alabama were to win the national title this year, that might be the greatest play in the history of the school.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, remember, it was a 30-yard pass. The defender for Auburn had his back turned to the quarterback. It was single coverage, and the kid just caught the ball in the corner. To me, it was not your traditional Hail Mary as much as people want to say it is. It was. It just wasn't.
All right, JC, this question here from Rod on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. I want to get your thoughts on it. He says, Shane,
Rod,
does any top-notch player come to UF that's in the portal with a lame duck coach? Here, I'll answer it first.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would say, first of all, top-notch. Do we know if he's top-notch or not? We don't really know because we're not going to know. We may know some of the guys in the portal. We probably don't. But I would say if it could be a top-notch player from the MAC for all we know. I mean, Jared Verse, who is a damn good player, came from Albany State or Albany University.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So we don't know who's going to be top-notch, but if you can go to the University of Florida and get paid to play football in the Southeastern Conference, you go. It doesn't matter if your coach is going to last half the season, a year, or 10 years. You go because it's because I don't know what his other offers are.
Mhm.
That's what my point is, I guess.
Yeah, well, look, Florida's not a bad place to be, guys. It's it's a good place to be. I think that's a good question. I'm trying to think of the lame duck coaches we're talking about here.
He's talking about Billy being a lame duck coach.
Oh, he's talking about Billy being a. Oh no, yeah, okay. Wow, that's interesting. I don't know, but Texas A&M's got some guys that might be leaving their school. Mississippi State has a quarterback that's leaving their school, and they hired an offensive guy. Will Rogers, he's out. So
Yeah, but Will doesn't fit that style of Jeff Levy's deal because
he
you got to
doesn't.
run a little bit in that system, but it's more fast paced, and
Okay.
I just don't. Well, that's not a good fit for Will Rogers, in
But
my
I
opinion.
think it was a good hire for Mississippi State. I think it was a home run hire. Actually, he knows Mississippi. I think it's a good hire.
I think it's a very good hire.
Two guys from Syracuse, New York, were with McDonald's at this trip, and they said, we've been to the Super Bowl. What should we expect in this deal here? I said, expect it times 5. Oh, no way, dude! Come on. I said, yeah, times 5. I would love to talk to them today and hear what they had to say about the game. From Syracuse, never been to an SEC championship game, never been to an SEC game, no idea. But I think they got a great idea after Saturday. They're unbelievable.
Yeah, there's nothing like it.
Unbelievable.
Andy says, Shane, do you know John Reed's son David, who's coaching the offense? He's not there anymore. He was there years ago. David does real estate. He took over his dad's real estate business in the Tampa area. The kid coaching the OC at Oregon, he played under Jeff Brom and Bobby Petrino at Louisville back in the day. I can't remember his name right now. Joseph says Jaden Richardson, a wide receiver from Tufts University, TUFTS, is supposedly one guy Billy has pursued.
Okay.
Doesn't know where the hell Tufts is. I've heard of Tufts.
Can we get some linemen? I want to see some linemen. I want to see some linebackers and some cornerbacks. We got any of those?
I don't know, JC.
Well,
Tim wants to know why you're ragging on guys from Syracuse.
Oh, was I ragging on them? No,
you're just talking like them or trying to.
Well, they talk very differently up there. But Syracuse, that's a scare. The Orange. I mean, the Orange. That's our school, man.
They have a new coach.
Rutgers. I don't even know who he is, but
he's DB. He was like the DB coach, I think, from Georgia.
That's a tough place to win, man. You go walk in that Carrier Dome, you think you're back in the 70s. The weather's not good either. But listen, I wish them all the best. They were very friendly guys. I love talking to them. I love hearing from people on these trips that are from very different places, and they ask, what can I expect on these trips? It's a fun conversation, and Syracuse and the ACC. FSU they wanted out. They were trying to figure out how to get out of the ACC. And 30 years ago, Bobby Bowden made the fatal decision not to join the SEC QB. They were invited. But he thought he could get away with winning more championships by not joining the Southeastern Conference. Oh my God, what a fatal decision! But FSU.
And they'll never be part of the SEC. I think the next This is coming from the commissioner now. This is inside information, JC.
Oh wow, it's outside now.
I would say they will not go any farther west than they've already gone.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They go anywhere, it's north.
Okay. So that means
you're looking at like North Carolina or Virginia Tech or somebody like that.
How about the Clemson, your beloved Clemson Tigers?
Possibly a Clemson, possibly a North Carolina, but no signs of the semis from what he said. So we got a text on Titan our text line.
They had their shot.
Says, Shane, I want your thoughts on CJ Stroud. Do you think he gets Rookie of the Year? I think it's a lock. He's phenomenal.
Yeah. Oh my God, Texas, man! They got that city excited about the football.
CJ Stroud is such a good thrower of the football, and he has such a knack. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
We both said over and over again he was the best quarterback of the draft. You said, "Hey, who would you say is the best quarterback of this draft?" I said, CJ Stroud, man. I mean, the balls he threw against Georgia last year in the semifinal were just tremendous. He's a great player, and Houston did a great job. Will Anderson, C.J. Stroud, they drafted another guy. I mean, D'Amico Ryan's got it happening over there. They're happy in Houston. They're happy with their team, the Texans. Yeah. They built through the draft. They're doing great. Yeah.
Joseph says Walter Nolan entered the portal from A&M. Be nice to get him. Yeah.
Hey,
I think
take anybody
their wide
from that
receiver is
roster.
going to probably end up at Alabama.
Evan Stewart. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Evan Stewart. Come on down, baby. It's your chance to catch the next miracle pass. Oh, my God. Yeah, come on down. Just
Nathaniel says on YouTube, brought to you by Quad Plum, we need 7 offensive linemen coming out of the portal.
Yeah, and some guys on defense wouldn't hurt either.
Right, but I want to remind you, JC and Nathaniel,
I'm being
we
reminded.
We ain't the only people digging in the portal.
Hey, it's a sales job. Gotta get out there. Hey, come to Florida. I said, bring the signs. You know, we got oranges, we got sunshine. Sometimes, not today.
And then you got to just open up this little thing that goes like this.
A debit card.
Sign a name, put a date.
Is it a check?
Then you got to figure out, okay, what we're going to pay this guy.
Who is we, by the way? Who's writing those checks? Do we know anybody?
I don't know. I don't know, but you're talking about the sunshine and this, that, and the other.
Oranges.
That crap don't matter anymore.
Dade County has a lot of money, by the way, and a lot of Gator people live in Dade County. I would suggest opening up a bureau in Dade County and see what you can do fundraising down there for the University of Florida. Dade County, folks. Dade, Miami. You get it. Go get down there because everybody else is. And you have
Ogre State Farm offers a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. JC, good job today.
Did you see the Miss Michigan ballroom when they made the announcement of who they were playing?
They were miserable.
They were thinking, we're gonna play we're gonna play Rodemaker or the other guy. This is great, man. And then they said Alabama. Oh, what is this? And then slowly somebody started clapping. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, it'll be fun. Michigan. Oh, I can't wait, man. Oh, I can't wait. You know what I think of Michigan? Oh God.
Joseph, real quick before we get out, Joseph said it was a slat in the wound when the SEC announcers were praising Isaiah Bond, and then said he was originally committed to Florida, and he was. And the new coaching staff said we don't need you, so he flipped to Alabama. I hope that's not true.
Is that true?
I don't know if all that's true or not. But.
God, I hope that's not true. Boy, that would be horrible if that ever got out. I mean, he made some of the biggest catches on that drive that put him up 10 in the fourth quarter. And then, of course, the one against Auburn. But the kid is a really good player, man. Yeah, I can't imagine anybody that knows anything about football would tell somebody like that, we don't need you. We don't need you. Can't imagine that. I bet you that's
all right. Well, last thing before we get out, Greg says, does the NIL money get spread out over the year or all at once? I think it varies. I think they get monthly payments. I don't know.
Why don't you have that NIL guy who came to Utah with us on the show one day there, QB?
I don't know if they really want to speak about it. I don't really know.
I think they need to because
but I don't know if they're allowed to. Well, I mean, they're not going to tell you how much JC is getting paid because they don't tell that. But
they can talk about the structure of it and how you attract kids to come, other than just big numbers with zeros and commas. And I think that would be I think our viewers, the millions of viewers we have and listeners, would love to know a little bit more about this secret NIL thing since it's such a big deal. That'd be a good segment, at least for 10 minutes. He needs to publicize it. They got to get the word out.
Yeah, well, they it's out there, JC. It's not. We're not keeping it a secret. The Talking Gator on YouTube says, Shane, can I tell your listeners about the basketball tickets we're giving away tonight for UK and Florida, Kentucky on January 6th? Sure, list it. All right, JC, that's it, man. Right. Appreciate you.
You got it.
BSing with us through. We're at that time now. We're gonna start talking basketball. I guess we'll talk 14 playoffs when it comes around. But sorry, the semis are out. They don't deserve to be in. I mean, a great year, but they would have been embarrassed by the Michigan Wolverines. So
I think so too.
Yeah. All right. And don't forget, my golfers won on the Peachland Dental Pig. So
I'll figure out the way we structure that contest.
Yep. That's JC. Join us on the Titan of Ohio. I hope everybody enjoyed our program today. Appreciate you chiming in. Have a great day, folks. See you tomorrow.
Adios.